It's amazing to see all of you here and this unbelievable energy. Of course, I'm thinking of our 16-year-old kids, Eyal and Gilad and Naftali, and Eyal that was just 18. It was 16-year-old kids that got us last year on the plane to Geneva. It was high school kids that filled up the rallies, that filled up the shuls with your parents. I hear they're watching us live. So I want to say the biggest, greatest toda rabba. Thank you so, so much. We were so aware of the fact that the pictures of our boys are, in your lawns, on the magnets on your refrigerators, the names in your sidurim. It was just across the street here where we sat for 18 days, 18 nerve-wracking, difficult, I can't even describe days, but we got the most unbelievable hug, the most unbelievable support from the greatest family, from the greatest nation, in a world where, unfortunately, thousands of people are murdered every week, and nobody even cares. 3 kids didn't come home from school, and millions of Jews all over the world were losing sleep over it. It takes a miracle. I don't know what to choose to tell you. I spoke to Jews from all over the world. You saw it in the video. And their hearts were with us. And they hoped with us. And then they mourned with us. Communities from all over, I'll just tell you one little story from Arizona. Anybody from Arizona? But there were many, many stories like this. When the boys were missing, a community decided to take upon themselves 1,000 mitzvot in merit of the boys. And then it turned into 1,000 mitzvot in memory of the boys. And, I asked the rabbi, didn't they lose their motivation now that they know the end of the story? And they said, no, the motivation was even higher. And they made this sweet video where little kids said they'll try not to fight with their sister. And this guy said he'll try to put on tefillin once a week. And another said he'll kosher his kitchen. Later, on the side, somebody told me, I didn't want to tell this on the movie, but this lady says, I decided to date only Jews. In the end of that video, the rabbi says, in the phone call that Gilad made from the kidnapping car, he said, you hear the terrorists say, put down your heads, put down your heads. And this is our way to keep our heads up strong. Wherever I went, there were people from communities around the world saying, a miracle happened to us. And I asked, what miracle? And they said, for a rally when we thought we'll get the boys back alive, and then for a memorial after the bad news came, we stood together in our community, Hasidic Jews, ultra-Orthodox, modern Orthodox, conservative, reform, so-called non-affiliated Jews, all together in one place. This never, ever happened in our community before. And then it happened again in memory. And we spoke to the elders of the community. Nobody remembered us standing together. And this was like a miracle. And I said, I beg you, find other opportunities to stand together. In the eulogy for our boys, their Rosh Yeshiva of their high school, Rav Dov Zinger said, you know how they say where there are 2 Jews, there are 3 opinions? We should all remember that where there are 2 Jews, there are 3 opinions, but 1 heart. And I want to tell you, the 1 heart is essential and it's real. But the 3 opinions are just a real part of who we are, like the 1 heart. We are you know, if there's something we're trying to save from this tragedy, is the spirit of those days, and it's a spirit of coming together and feeling like family. But we're not talking about uniformity. We're talking about unity. Jews come in different colors, in different dress codes. They have different dreams. They have different ideals from time to time. We share the same Torah, but we have different ways of reading it. And still, we are true brothers and sisters. We saw that last year, and it spoke volumes about who we are, and definitely about who we could strive to be. When we left for just for a couple of days, months after this all happened, and we were leaving the airport, and you get to this booth where the people with the very straight face stamp your passports, and I was coming with a bunch of passports and was getting closer, and the lady there had a terrible cold. And as I was coming closer, I saw it wasn't a cold, it was tears coming down her face. And I said, "You don't really have a cold, do you?" And she said, "I apologize, I'm sorry. You lived in my home throughout this summer." And then I got to Miami, where I was headed, and 3 different Jews told me the exact same thing. "You lived in our homes throughout the summer." So if Jews that live thousands and thousands of miles away can open their homes and open their hearts to people they never ever met before and feel like, you know, people in the street stop us and they say, "These are not only your children, these are our children." It's who we are. It's true. It's the essence of the Jewish people. When you speak about such young lives that were taken in such a cruel way, you try to think about the good that they still create in this world, and the good that you can all carry with you and create in your own worlds. I'm sorry, I didn't even apologize for my accent. It's your life, it's your decision, it's you going home to your own communities, it's you making your choices in high school, in your campuses, some of you back here in your homeland, all of you. So I must say one more thing for that. My parents made Aliyah years and years ago, and there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for them making this choice for me. I don't know if I could pick myself up from a comfortable life in New York, but there isn't a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for growing up here and raising my children here. And last summer, it seems like we paid the ultimate price for that, but I wouldn't want to be any other place in the world. I want to share a story with you. It's not a story of unity, it's a personal story. At some point during the days we were waiting for the children, we were given the opportunity to listen to a tape of the phone conversation that Gilad made. And we didn't know what to expect. And I chose to listen to it. And I went to the IDF team that was by our house taking care of us, and I approached this person and I said, "Could you please prepare me for listening to this tape?" I didn't know what it's going to contain. He didn't know what what it is going to contain. He said, "Racheli, what are you afraid of?" And I said, "I don't know. Maybe, I know what I'm going to hear. Maybe I'll fall apart." And he said, "So you'll fall apart. Then what?" I thought for a second. I said, "Well, I guess then I'll collect myself and I'll pick myself up." And he said, "Yes." Then a few months later, I just must say, these were such simple words, but they were profound to me. And a few months later, a wonderful lady called Chagit Rein that lost her son in Lebanon called us, And she said, you know, in a few days it's going to be the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Sukkot, and I know you're feeling this horrible, horrible fear of being in the holidays without him. I want to tell you that the fear that you're feeling, it's worse than the thing itself. And I said, okay, I hear you. And, you know, being high school age, I'm offering these stories as a gift to you. Sometimes the fear that we feel is much worse than the thing itself. And God forbid if the worst thing happens, and God forbid if we do fall apart, we always have the power in us to breathe deep and to pick ourselves up. So this is my gift to you. Thanks. And when you pick yourself up, look around. See who's surrounding you. The amazing family, the amazing communities, the amazing nation, the abilities of people to connect, to care, to open their heart, to look at people that dress differently and think differently, and to say, those are my brothers and sisters. We're here together. We are one nation and one faith. I think Rabbi Jonathan Sachs puts it in a very blunt way that I identify with. He said, don't agree with me, just care about me. And it's that simple. You don't have to agree, just care about each other. In this trip in Israel, so much of the identity we built for ourselves, is somebody gave me the words, based on a rhetoric of crisis. We're attacked and there's anti-Semitism and we shouldn't kid ourselves about it, definitely not in Europe and all over. And we go to Yad Vashem and we remember the war and we remember our children. And that's all about crisis. But we want to turn this into a rhetoric of opportunity. Let's turn these young lives into a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to remember who we are and what we can be and come together. Thank you so much.